another video. I hope everyone has had a good week, good day so far. So, just jumping right into this video. This video is going to be very heavy for me. So this is going to be several parts, probably 2 parts, if not 2, 3, but I'll try and keep it into 2 parts. So in the last video, if you guys have watched that, you know, my ex-husband and I separated. So we ended up getting a divorce. And I also ended it with the guy I was speaking with online, like I mentioned in the previous video. But to kind of back it up a little bit, while I was talking to that guy online, I had met another guy online. And this guy I had been friends with for some time. And we became really good friends. So when I ended it with that other guy online, you know, I had told this guy that I was talking to about it. And this guy is very well known in the Hebrew community. And he, you know, he's very intelligent, very knowledgeable. And so when I ended it with that other guy online, I started talking to him, but we had been already previously conversating just as friends. We started having a conversation, and we would talk every day online. And so when my ex-husband and I decided to proceed with the divorce, I already had been, so I'm kind of, I don't know how to explain it in words, but I'm skipping timelines here. So it's like a lot of time had passed with me separating and moving out since 2014, 2015. I ended it with that guy online in 2000, I think it was 14 or 15, like the beginning of 2015. And so when I started talking to this other guy, this Hebrew guy, we had previously been friends since prior to 2014 on social media. And we were having conversations. We ended up taking it a little bit, further as far as friendship to an intimate level around 2015-ish. After I ended it with the guy that I had previously talked to online. And so my divorce was already going, processing. And with me getting a divorce from my ex-husband, we had a non-contested divorce. So I basically didn't want to go to court. I wanted it to just be smooth. I just wanted a clean cut. So we had a non-contested divorce, which means, for those who don't understand, it's not anything that we're fighting about. We want to just split amicably. So whatever you came in with, whatever I came in with, we just go our separate ways. Whatever he did acquire during our marriage, I didn't want anything. I didn't want it. He could have it. Anything that we both acquired together, or if he got it while we were married, I didn't want anything. I just wanted to go. So He could have it all. So, we didn't have any like custody child support thing in our divorce. I didn't want any of that, to be honest. We were both good parents. He's a good father. I try to be the best mother I can be. So I wanted it to be taking care of that outside of the court. And that's what we did. So the judge granted that. We don't have any type of legal custody paperwork or anything like that. We both share the children. We both agreed to that. Whenever the kids want to go to him, whenever the kids want to stay with me, that's how we do it. I didn't want any child support. I didn't want any of that stuff that I really just, for myself, I don't believe in. We're both adults. We're both parents. We understand that. We both know what it takes to take care of children. So as an adult, we expect that, kids cost money. If they need something and I don't have it, or if he doesn't have it, we provide. One of us provides, and we understand that very well. So I didn't want that to be delegated or handled inside of a court, which has nothing to do with them. People like that. These are our children, so I want to go about it that way. These are our children. We decide what's going to happen with our children, not a third party. So that's how we did it, and it was a smooth divorce. It was just really quick. Just sign the paperwork and we were done. So when that happened, like I said, I was talking to this other man. He, like I said, is a Hebrew teacher, a leader in the community, and we started taking it to the next level as far as our conversations went. And he told me, he was single and he had children. And, he knew my situation. I told him I was in, middle of a divorce at the time before it was finalized, and that I had children. And we talked about all that. So he pursued me online. He would always message me, and I was a little resistant at first towards him, but just because I being who I am, I'm very observant. I'm very intuitive. So I knew what I saw from him online as far as dealing with other women and stuff. So with me saying that, he's just very big. He's flirty, so he's a big flirt. So I saw that, so that kind of made me resist a little bit. But having conversations with him and mentioning that to him, he always had some type of rebuttal or explanation, I should say. So me giving him the benefit of the doubt is what I always did. That's what I did. I ignored it. Before I get into all of this, I kind of want to also say, by this time, I had already, studying on my own as far as getting into Torah and stuff since like 2012. And, now me stating this incident, this is 2015 now. I have been studying, and I have been studying from everyone, like I had stated previously in other videos. But I was interested in, his teaching. That's what drew me to him, was his knowledge of Torah. Not only just knowledge, but like, I call it, somewhat like a genius when it comes to Hebrew and learning the language and just the deeper meaning behind all of, not just the words, but the letters and just the entirety of Hebrew. It drew me to him, and that's what I initially was attracted to him. That's what initially attracted me to him. Y'all have to kind of bear with me because this video is very hard for me. I'm opening up about this publicly, and I haven't opened up to many people about this situation, and not even my family. So we were kind of like, I wanted to make plans, of course, me being me. I saw something in him and with us. It was a connection that I had never experienced before with anyone. And so, I was making plans, and as far as meeting and wanting to know more. So towards the end of 2015, we were talking all of 2015. Towards the end of 2015, I had a friend, a sister that I was close with at the time. She had brought up that there was a lecture that was going to be taking place in this state that the guy I was talking to online lived in, but she didn't know this, but she was telling me about a lecture that was happening in that state and wanted to know if I would like to go with her. So I agreed. I agreed to go, and we had made plans for that weekend because there was lectures and there was other things going on that we wanted to do and be a part of that weekend. So when I found this out and really knew that I was going to go, I told him, the guy that I was talking to, that I was going to go to this lecture, and it happened to be where he lived, and that I was going with my friend, and we had some things planned. And, of course, he was happy about it, and he wanted to meet me for the first time in person. And so I thought, that was going to be a good idea. I was kind of, nervous and hesitant at first because I just didn't know where this was all going to go, even though I was still had these plans in my head, but I still wasn't certain because, of course, I have children, he has children, and I just didn't know the situation. It was still kind of up in the air between us. I flew to New York because that's where he lives, and that's also where the lecture was. So I flew to New York, and the entire time I am flying. Well, when I land, he's already contacting me. He's trying to find out where I am, what airport I'm at, and where I'm going to be staying. And so, I give him this information, and he says he wants to come and see me right then. And so, I had landed. It was evening time. It was nighttime. And so I told him, where I was staying, and that the sister that I flew in with, she was staying in the same hotel, but we had different rooms on different floors. So he told me he was going to come by, and he wanted to meet me. He had a friend with him, just in case, he says, that, I was some type of catfish, that I wasn't who I said I was. So I get to the hotel. I get contacted by him and saying that he said that he was at the hotel. He was down in the lobby. So I go and make my way down to the lobby, And, you know, it was our first time meeting. And so I get to the lobby and I see him. And I was kind of nervous. I think we both were kind of nervous. I was nervous just because, you know, I don't know if anybody's had online relationships or anything like that. Sometimes online relationships don't kind of take that same effect in person. And I was afraid of that connection. I didn't think the connection was going to be there physically, and it was just going to be like an online type connection. But when we met in person, it was the exact same way as it was online, and it made me excited. So when I seen him, we hugged in the lobby. He had his friend with him, and I met his friend, and we all talked. You know, we had a good conversation. In the middle of our conversation, his friend actually left. He told him, you know, okay, he was going to leave, and he was just there for support and just to kind of see, you know, if I was who I said I was. So his friend left. Me and the guy I was talking to, we continued our conversation, and so we were talking for a while, and I don't know, I literally can't explain it. It's just, the connection was just, it was just, you know, there. So, sorry. I knew this was gonna happen, so that's why I say, you guys just gotta bear with me when I tell this story. We both agreed, you know, that this was something that we both never really just kind of felt before. He ended up leaving, and that night, and you know, it was amazing. That experience was amazing. Just the meeting and talking and just the conversation. Nothing else. It was just amazing. Just the conversation. And then, you know, the next day, I went to the lecture with the sister I had flew in with. And then that entire day, he kept calling me and telling me, you know, meeting me was, you know, amazing. And he wanted to see me again that day. And so, you know, after the lecture, I had plans to go somewhere else, to a temple, to a temple some Israelites had in New York with a sister. And I decided I was going to meet up with the guy I was talking to online first before I hit the temple. He came over again, and this time, you know, he brought food, and you know, we ate and we had a conversation, and it was, you know, amazing, like usual. It was fun because not only did we connect spiritually on a deeper level, we also connected on a fun, flirty, loving level. We could be deep, but then we could switch over and just be us, you know. And it was good. I like the balance of both. That we had that balance of both. That day, that night was kind of crazy though. But needless to say, I won't get into a lot of detail. But we knew right then and there that, you know, this was it. We had something that we didn't want to, you know, lose, and we were gonna make plans to move forward, you know. I flew back from New York to Houston after that weekend. And, you know, we continued to speak to each other. We you know, we talked online. And then from there, I always made the trip to New York. So when we met, it was like February of 2016 when we actually met. The first time that we met was February 2016. After that meeting, every other month or so, I would fly to New York to see him. So I would fly to New York because sometimes he would have lectures, and you know, he spoke and he gave lectures himself. So whenever he had lectures in New York, I would fly and go see it. Sometimes when I flew to New York, we would go to you know, his temple that he usually attended in Brooklyn, and so we would go there together. So throughout that time, this entire year, 2016, you know, it kind of started kind of being a little weird when it got to like the summertime. When we were talking, he didn't really go into, now that I look back on things, well, I knew it then, but now that I really look back on things, I would catch some of the red flags. He was saying that, you know, he was going through things, and that he was either, at the time when I was speaking to him in like 2015 and 2016, he was staying with his sister. But then, you know, there was a time where he had to stay with his parents for a minute. And then like the summer of 2016, around like June-ish or so, we would always have conversations prior to that. I'm going a little too fast. I'm sorry. I don't want to like not say everything that I have to say. We would never really argue. When we argued online and stuff, it was from, you know, me always, you know, seeing him flirt with women and stuff like that. And that bothered me because I'm like, what are you doing? We're supposed to be like in this relationship, and you're online just like blatantly flirting with all these women. And do they know that you're talking to somebody? And, you know, he would always say, yeah, they know, blah, blah. It's nothing. It's just, you know, casual flirting that he would do. He's a flirt. He would always say that. He's a flirt. He's always been a flirt, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but it still bothered me because I am who I am, and I'm very, very territorial. So our fights and arguments would be about that. It was nothing other than that. Literally, it was just, you know, we didn't have any other issues but that. And so like now, June 2016, he messages me one day and says that we had to like break up or like not talk to each other anymore. And this was kind of out of the blue. And I didn't know what it was about, and I was just like, what do you mean? And, you know, he just said that he was going through some personal things, personal issues, and that he just needed some time to himself. He needed time, you know, alone. And I'm like, okay, but, you know, you're not telling me what it is. I mean, I could help you out, you know, just tell me what's going on. And it was never, he would never tell me specifically what was going on. He was just saying, you know, it was just things with him. And so, you know, I was like, okay, you know, is it financially? Is it, what is it, you know? And he just kind of saying it was a little bit of everything. It was never a specific thing. So it upset me because I'm like, okay, so you just have to break up. We had to break up for that. Like, we already we're already miles apart. What do you need, space for? What do you need to think of, what do you need space for? And so he just basically said he just needed space. We just couldn't be together right then. And so I was like, okay, but it kind of devastated me because I was just like, I just wanted to know what was going on because I thought maybe it was me. I don't know. When that happened, I already had bought a ticket prior to this happening to see a lecture that he was giving that summer. Anyways, I think it was in June or July. And so I told him I was still going to go to the lecture because I already bought the ticket, and I just did not want to go. And so when I flew to New York to go see this lecture, I think he was still surprised that I came. So I came and, heard him speak. And then after the lecture, he comes over and he's, basically asking me where I was staying, and asked if I needed a ride, back to the hotel where I was. And I told him, okay, yeah, he can give me a ride back. But this entire time I was there to speak to him in person to see what was going on, So we're in the car and we're talking, but not talking, he wouldn't give me anything. I'm asking him questions. I'm asking him, what is it? What's wrong? Is it me? And he's saying, it's not me. It's not whatever. It's nothing about us. And it was just about him. And I'm like, well, what is it? And at this point, I'm throwing out all these questions and he's not wanting to really answer. He's just kind of sitting quietly. And in my mind, I knew what it was, but I wanted him to say it because I'm when I tell you I have this type of, I already know, and in a very short amount of time, I already knew him. And that was scary. I already knew how he was, what he was thinking. It was just very weird. So I already knew what it was. I just needed him to say it. And that's my issue. Being who I am, I always want confirmation, and I always want to know what it is when I already know what it is. Because if I don't hear it from them, I can give that excuse to myself to say, oh, well, it isn't true. It's just what I think I believe, so I can ignore it. And that's basically what happened. So I asked him flat out. I said, why did you move? Where are you staying? Where are you living? Because I knew at the time he didn't have a place. He was in between places with his mom, his sister. And so I said, did you move back in with your children's mother? Are you with her? And he looked at me and he said, no. And I was just like, and he told me flat out no. And I said, okay, so what is it? But I knew that's what it was. I already knew. But he told me no. So I'm just going to go off what he tells me. I'm not going to sit there and argue. I don't know for sure. I don't have proof. I don't have fact. I don't have the actual facts. So I was just like, okay, so what is it? And he still wouldn't answer me. So needless to say, I didn't get anywhere with that conversation. He took me back to the hotel room. I left, flew back to Houston, and I didn't hear from him really for the next couple of months. We were still friends on social media. And then in August, he hits me back up on social media and he tells me, hey, okay, we're back together. And I'm like, huh? What's going on? And he's like, never mind, we're back together. He can't do this. He can't be away from me. We're back together. And I'm like, okay, so you got everything situated? You're okay now? And he's like, yeah, he's okay now. And I'm like, okay. So we're back together. And he's like, yeah. So, we're together again. I'm like, okay, so now we're back on. And it has me back into this mode of, okay, so I'm trying to figure out what my next steps are for me and him. And so in between this time, I'm working, taking care of kids, and then he calls me out of the blue, and he tells me, he can't, deal with life. He can't take life right now. He just feels that really low, and I'm trying to help him. I'm like, what's going on? He's saying that, he needs to, he just can't deal with the stuff that he's dealing with, and he needs a different, he needs some plans. He needs something different. So I told him, okay, do you want to fly to Houston? Do you want to get out of New York for a minute and fly to Houston and just clear your mind and figure out what you're going to do? You don't have to stay in Houston, but I know you haven't been away from New York. Like, do you want some time away from where you're at so that you can clear your mind and figure out what you're going to do? And he told me, yeah. So at this point, I buy him a plane ticket to come to Houston. And, I bought a one way because I figured, when he gets here, he can figure out what day he wants to leave and go back, and we can buy the ticket then. But I call and tell him, I got a plane ticket, it was going to be like for the next day or that for the next couple of days. I think it was, if it wasn't flying out the next day, it was like the next 2 days. And he said, good, okay, he was going to come. And then, of course, the day comes where he's supposed to fly out, and then he calls me back, and he messages me back, and he says, oh, never mind, he can't come. So I was just like, okay, that's weird. I'm like, you can't come? And he's saying, no, he can't leave his children. So I understood that because I'm a mother and I have children, and I couldn't imagine at the time. I couldn't imagine, tearing myself away from my children and going to another state, without them. So it upset me, but I understood. So I figured everything was back okay with him. So several months go by, we're still speaking, and of course still kind of arguing about the stuff he's doing online, with other women and stuff. And several other months go by, and the same thing happens again. He wants to come to Houston. He's ready to come to Houston. I buy him another plane ticket to come to Houston, and he does the same thing again. He bails. He can't come to Houston. He's got to stay. And so at this point, it's getting a little weird to me because I'm like, okay, why do you keep bailing and telling me you want to come to Houston and not do what you say you're going to do? So, another year goes by, and now we're in, 2017. And, my divorce was finalized in 2000, I think it was 16. So now we're in 2017, and, we're still talking, and we're still, having this, our relationship, online relationship. And then I get, caught up in the women that he's, entertaining online. I'm very, like I said before, I'm very intuitive. I know exactly who's talking to him online and who isn't, just by the way he interacts with them on social media. And I've always told him this from day freaking one. He is so very transparent. It may not be transparent to you guys, because I know if anybody's watching this and you know me and you know who I'm talking about, he may get over on you guys, but I know exactly who he's talking to and who he has, relationships online by the way he interacts with them online. So, I start calling out these women to him that he's talking to. And of course he's denying it. And then finally he breaks down and he says, okay, but how do you know? I'm like, because I know you. And you keep thinking that I don't know you, but I'm telling you, I know you. So he starts telling me, it's just nothing, it's just flirting, it's just conversation. And I'm like, well, I want it to stop. I want it to end and I want it to stop right now. Do they know that you're talking, that you're with me? And this entire time I had wanted him to, tell people we were together. And he just wouldn't. His thing was, he's very private. He's a private person. And, the people in the Bible didn't, weren't like that with their wives and stuff like that. They didn't tell the whole world who they were with. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, we're not in the Bible. Second, I can care less about none of that crap. Third, tell these people that we're together, or I'm going to freaking tell them that we're together. And so he basically said, well, tell these women that we're together. Tell them, I don't care. That was the thing that he would do. He would say, go message them, tell them that we're together. This is the type of mind games and mind manipulation he would do. Tell them, message them, tell them, or I swear I'm not talking to them like that. You can message them and ask them. And so he would do this all the time until, there was this one girl I knew he was talking to, and she got under my skin because of who she was and how she was online. And so I confronted him with that. I confronted him and told him I knew he was talking to her to quit it. And, he said it was just conversation. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then he was just like, if you're so concerned about it, just message her. I'm not talking to her like that. So what do? I message her, right? So I message her. And she starts telling me that her and him, we're talking online. And I told her, well, did you know that we had been together since like 2015? And but prior to that, we were friends before that, a long time, but actually stamped it in 2015. And then she said no, she knew nothing about me, but they were having a conversation, and so she sends me screenshots of all of their conversation in their inbox, and when I got the screenshots, I was so angry that he would literally just blatantly lie to my face like that, which I already knew he was lying, but to actually, like I said, I always need the proof. Like, to see the proof of it, I gathered all the screenshots and I forwarded it to him, and I said, look, you sitting over here lying to me, we're done. Like, we're done. I don't want to have nothing to do with none of this crap. Like, we're done, because I'm so angry and I'm seeing red right now. Like, I was so angry. And this girl just kept saying, oh, I'm sorry, I had nothing, I didn't know anything about you guys, blah, blah, blah. And so, I gave her the benefit of the doubt too. I was like, okay, yeah, you didn't know me. Why am I going to be mad at you? You know what I'm saying? This is the fool I'm talking to, and he should know better. so we kind of was like, okay. So I'm like, okay. She said, here's my phone number. Call me, blah, 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 because there's other things I want to tell you. And I'm like, okay. So after I sent all that stuff to him, he took his time responding. But then he responded and said, he was sorry. I mean, this long response. He was sorry. It was just words. It didn't mean nothing. He never met her. It doesn't matter, if what he was saying onto her online, he never met her. And he was sorry that he couldn't lose me. He didn't want to lose me. And if I can leave him, this is what he's saying. If I can leave him over words, then what does that even mean? So I'm saying all of this to give you some background on how he would twist it and make me feel a certain way, even though I knew in my gut, and I knew, my intuition already knew that this was red flags galore, that this was something that was not going to change, and it was him. But with him saying all of this stuff, I would say, well, what do you expect me to do? How would you feel if you caught me in somebody's inbox talking and saying the things that you were saying to these women? Because she is not the only one. There was other ones. So, and other ones after her. And I'm going through this constantly with him. And these women telling me that it's him and not them. So I went through this for like all of 2017, and then it was tumultuous to say the least. But always giving him the benefit of the doubt because of his sorries, because of his I love you, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen again, I just need, something to do with my time. And every time I always wanted to break it off, he would throw it back in my face and say, it's just conversation. He's never met these people. He's never met these women, nor is he ever going to meet these women. And I said, in some of the conversations that I read, the screenshots that I read, it bothered me because some of the things that he would say, some of the things that he would tell me. So when I confronted him with that, I'm like, is this like why are you saying these things to these women when it's the same thing that sometimes, the same things that you would have said to me when we were first talking? Like, that was a red flag. He didn't have any excuse for that stuff. It was just conversation. It was just, his weakness. And I'm like, I didn't know, I wanted so bad to do what I felt and know what the right thing was to do. I wanted to do that. And every single time I did it, he would make me feel bad about doing it. How are you just going to break it off with me? Why are you always trying to break up with me? Over stupid things like just conversation and flirting. It's who he is. He's not going to go any further than that. And I'm saying, how do I know that? How can I trust that? Like, how do I know? During this time, he had some things come out, some merchandise and stuff that had come out that he had created for his brand himself. And I started purchasing it because, I'm his, biggest supporter. And I always say that to this day. I have always been his biggest supporter and always have been his, everything that he did, I believed in. And I believe in. I would stand behind him 100% every single time. Because I'm very loyal like that. I'm very loving like that. And this relationship that we had, I loved him. And so it was the first relationship that I had went into after being the divorce and after that other guy online. It was the first relationship that I went into with an open heart. Like, I was completely open and willing to be vulnerable when I was never vulnerable before with anyone. I wouldn't let it because I was so hard. I was so protective of myself because of the way I grew up. because of where I came from. I never let anybody in. And I liked it that way. But when it came to him being who he said he was, this leader, this Hebrew leader in the community, teacher, I believed in what he taught and what he teaches. I went in open. Like I didn't block myself off from him. And I allowed myself to feel with him. So, which makes this connection like none other that I've ever had. Throughout this entire time, fighting with him about women, he knew where I stood when it came to having other women and being with other women. I even told him, if that's what he wants, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. But he said that, that's not what he wanted. He wanted to be with me. He wanted, to have this relationship with me. It was prior to him getting all his merchandise together and putting it online for people to purchase. Prior to all this, he had finally told me he had moved back in with the mother of his children. And he told me, and it upset me, and he told me that they were not together, but he was there for the children and that he was sleeping on the couch. Did I believe that in my heart? No. Did I tell him that? No. Because I know how he is, and I know what he would have said if I told him I don't believe that. We both have very, very bad trust issues, so when he told me this, I was disappointed that he would have kept that from me. I was disappointed that he really, in his mind, would think that I would believe that, though. But I am more disappointed in myself. For going against what I already knew. He kept telling me they weren't together and that he was sleeping on the couch and that he was only there for the children. He didn't want me to leave him. He did not want us to break up. He wanted me to understand where he was coming from. As being a parent and being a father. So I said, okay. I kept asking him, were they together? Every chance that I got, when it felt weird, and he would always tell me, no, stop asking me that, no. He would always say they had been over a long time ago. For years now, it's been over. I have to learn how to forgive myself, because I get so angry with myself for already knowing and just betraying myself, really. So I went along with this, not being together and him being on the couch and being there for the children, I went along with it. And he would give me these stories, these sad stories of how miserable he was, how much he loved me, how much he wished he could be with me, and that he wished he could be like all these other men that can just leave their children and go to a different, household. And I would always tell him he would never have to leave his children. Like, I was telling him, I got a divorce. We are co-parenting very well together. I can show him how to co-parent. And he just kept saying, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. And I was always just trying to help him through his emotion and his feeling, because it would get to points to where he would say he couldn't be without me. Towards the end of 2017, I knew I had to make a change within myself there in Houston financially, because I knew prior to this, in the other videos, you already knew I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to make more money, to provide for my children better, and for me, and to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live. I knew that there was much more to who I am, to what I wanted to be, to become. I knew that. I just didn't know how to start it. So by the end of 2017, I decided that I was going to go and move to New York to try and make this work with him and to get more money. Because I figured, where else can I figure out how to make more money than New York State? New York City. Like, that's where the money is, right? So I thought it was like a win-win. I figured I can establish myself somewhere here so that I can bring my girls and then also have this relationship with the man that I loved. It was a win-win, but the only part that got me was I had to leave my children. And I had never been without my children, ever, ever, ever. They were always with me. So the thought of leaving another state and going to another without my children tore me up, tore me to pieces. But in my mind, I knew, for some reason, I knew it was something that I just had to do. I had to do it because I didn't want to stay stuck where I was and not making a move. With all of that being said, I'm going to end this video here because it's already really, really long, this video. I'm going to pick up the next video with me moving out of the state of Texas to start new. So I hope everyone understands, the women at least, understand the decisions that were made in this video that I just talked about. The things that I've gone through, I went through in the beginning stages of this relationship that some of you guys have experienced or are going through right now. I hope you understand my emotions, where I'm coming from. I understand the red flags, understand to never betray yourself, even though you may love a certain person. Never put, yourself on the back burner. Don't ignore yourself. I hope that's what you kind of got out of this video here, because where I'm going to go in this next video, it gets a little rough. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Sending you all a love and light, and stay tuned for part 2.